Hey guys, this is Dartamos with Dartamos Dominions. I'm here with Vishtafish Coconut. How are you doing, dude?
I'm very good.
We're going to look at the post-game content and post-game looking back at what could have gone differently. Now, Arcos-Cephali was your first war. Did you do anything wrong in that war?
The only wrong thing I did was maybe the scripting, because I lost a lot of Jin warriors, but that's about it. Apart from that, I made all the good choices.
Now, on the other side, was there anything that Arcos-Cephali could have done to win that battle or win that war?
Honestly, maybe, I don't know, it's not that clear cut with him because it's not a good matchup. I think the main thing he could have done was not pick such a bad build.
So you think he lost turn one?
Yeah, because honestly, that build isn't very good. It's quite easy to counter a big statue, and it's very expensive.
I tend to agree with you. I've seen this Arcos-Cephali build. I think it's very similar to the one that we had in our Omniscience game, and it didn't seem to work then, and I'm really sad that we weren't able to get farther into that one, but a good player knows how to counter it. And what was your counter again?
In this one, my one was Great Swords of Sharpness.
Are there any other counters to that guy?
Probably you could do Smashes, but honestly, Great Swords work perfectly fine.
It's really interesting because I've heard the Smasher thing is the one that I learned when I was first new, but we're playing with you. I've never seen you use a Smasher before. Why is that?
I think Great Swords are just like multi-purpose. They're not that far behind Smashes in terms of damage as well.
So, now, the second war, and minorly concurrent, was the Hinnom attack on you. Do you think that Hinnom was correct for choosing you as their target?
I think they could have won a war against other players, most players, but I think I was a good target in terms of just nation-wise.
What do you think they could have done differently in order to win?
Gear their Melquats better and attack my capital earlier. He had a huge chance.
You said he had a huge what, sorry?
Chance.
Okay.
Chance.
And what was, so you think if he would have just dove on top of it, it would have worked out better?
The first time he went on my cap circle, my god wasn't, I don't think my god was even out. Or if it was out, it wasn't equipped to deal with what he had. So yeah.
Now, I'm not sure about you, but to me, it seemed like his troop count was a little bit low. Why do you think that his troops were not there?
Because I don't think he's very rich. Honestly, I think his income was like 1,200-ish.
That's one of the things that I see was different between his composition and the forces that we had when we played together in their Disciples match, was that his force seemed to be more concentrated on the Rephite warriors. Is that that's the sacred, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the sacred.
And our force seemed to be focused more on the Melkarts. Which do you think was the better choice?
I think it depends on the individual circumstances, but if you gear the Melquats right, they're better. If you're rich enough to recruit Rephites, then they're good too.
Do you think, going back, if you were playing as him, would you have recruited Melkarts or would you have done Rephites?
I would have done a mix of both. I think his recruitment was fine. It was just his strategy and his gearing was off.
What's interesting is I've never seen he had no earth. He was lacking in earth Melkarts.
Yeah, I think he got a bit unlucky with that. But at the same time, I don't think he went very high in alteration.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't see a lot of amazing spells that would have changed things at all. Do you think it was just a matter of his gear set then?
Yeah, I think his gear set was the main thing that let him down. Because even if he didn't take the first opportunity to attack my capital, he already saw my god, and he already shouldn't have known how to counter it. And it was very easy for him to counter it.
That was what was really interesting about it to me, because he had 4 turns of knowing your magic, your gear set. He knew his own gear set. He knew his own magic. He could have spent the 15 to 30 minutes in order to go into the arena battle and, play it out and see if he would have won or not. Why do you think that people don't do that?
I don't know, because it's clearly it's like a no-brainer. He could have won easily. it's not even a question of whether you would win. So I didn't know. Maybe it just depends on the person. Maybe you didn't know what to do.
I guess a follow-up question on that: how often do you test your battles?
Not very much.
You seem to outsource that to me, don't you?
Yes, I do that.
And I appreciate that. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to actually go through and do these battles, because it's interesting. Whereas you can kind of, one of the skills you have is just seeing a battle and knowing what's going to happen. For me, I like that I don't know, and then I can go through testing, and then I know, and then I can figure out why it is that one side would win or the other. And I feel like that's where I've gotten a lot of my knowledge of Dominions, is through doing those tests.
Yeah, I definitely think testing is a great way to learn what works and what doesn't work without any risk.
How much did you test your pretender against his stack? Because I know you did test this one.
Yeah, I definitely had to test that one. I didn't have much choice, because if I lost, then that'd be game over for me. But I tested it twice or three times. I think I got the wrong gear set the first time, and then I found the right one, and then I tested that, and it worked.
I think I was able to get, like, one day I was like, I'm going to do this test for Vish, and I got it all together. I did the gear set, and it failed miserably, and I think you ended up finding another gear set, and it was based off of the one that we saw in our Hinnom game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what inspired me from another game where it was like an Anunnaki with very similar gear set.
Now, what would you have built on that Melkart? Would it just have been, Melkart with GSS, or Melkart with 2 stingers, and that was it? Or would you put extra gear onto him?
I would have just done Melkart with stingers and maybe boots of strength, or a girdle of might, and buffed him with strength of giants. I would have done stinger though.
Because he ended up doing that, and he did have a Melkart that did do that, but it didn't work out. I mean, how many Melkarts did he need?
I think 3, and he needed to put them forward so they'd hit first, and then his troops would hit after.
That's really interesting. I remember fighting against this gear set, and granted, what was he, Anunnaki, or the guy
Anunnaki.
that has, the Anunnaki. I mean, he is a pain in the neck, because he's got another layer of
entangle. Yeah. It auto entangles.
That was nuts, dude. And I mean, it took me like 4 guys, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely much tougher pretender to attack. But even you did it with 4 guys. And that was much better than my pretender.
Now, what's interesting is, where did the eye shield go? Did it end up breaking?
Probably ended up breaking, or it's in my lab.
Okay. Yeah, I looked in your lab. It's not there, and I don't think you have the ability to make another one, do you?
No. I think I would have put magic resistance on the Melkart as well, to protect against the blinding.
Yeah, that's another really good point, and it's not too hard to get some, to get a little magic resist as Hinnom. In fact, I didn't see a lot of creativity with his magic diversity outside of maybe one battle where he fluffed one of his units.
Yeah, that was the only time he really fluffed. I think he was fluffing with Enlarge even early on, but it just wasn't that much.
Okay, so the next one that we had was you went after the 4 thrones, and during this time nobody went to war with you. They seem to be content in their fighting. So we've looked at Hinnom, we've looked at Arcocephali. Oh wait, let's hit on Mictlan as well. Why did Mictlan get out of the war with you?
I think they realized after the raiding and the seductions, they'd realized it was a pain to fight me, and also they already made gains from their initial attack.
I think my favorite part of that was when you attacked him at the same exact time. So when he comes on and he's expecting, hey, I'm going to get online, I'm going to see how my attack against Ubar went, and I'm really excited about this turn because my army's attacking. He gets on, he sees that he's attacked one province, but you've attacked two.
Yeah, that must have been quite sad for him. But my biggest regret is I didn't have enough troops to attack more provinces of his.
If you were not at war with Hinam, who would you have picked for your next target?
Maybe it's a hard choice. I would have been fine with anyone except Calum because I don't like fighting flyers. They can be annoying.
They definitely seem to put the random roll into a match where if they get to the right guy and do the right damage.
Especially like if you're not putting your commanders in the right place, they can be extremely annoying.
Now, what's interesting is that you've got these four right here. You only need one more. And the stretch from Arco would have been either this one here, which you can't get to because mountains, and then the other one, which is like cut off by a lake.
I think Fomoria's throne was the easiest one, apart from the ones I took.
Let's say theoretically you don't go to war with Hinam. Where would you get that fifth throne?
I haven't looked that far ahead. Maybe Abyssia or Mictlan.
So I guess my question for you is, would you have tried to sneak a throne?
I would have considered it, and if it's possible, I might have done it. But I think if I didn't have easy access to all 5 thrones, I would have attacked someone else.
What's interesting about this is that from Arcocephali, that looks like an easy throne to have snuck over and taken, and you could have tried to like hold out and win there.
Yeah, I think I could have cloud trapeze a lot of people there and maybe done a PD dump as well.
What's interesting is that your guys are all invisible. So you didn't even cloud trapeze. Like, well, I mean, what you could do is cloud trapeze to take it. So sneak over there, seduce, cloud trapeze to take it, and then have an army sneaking here, and then have them move in the next turn.
Yeah, that would have been a great plan. I think that would have worked.
That's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. You didn't actually need the Hinam win in order to be successful, but you still did.
Yeah. I think even if Hinam didn't give me such a nice win, I might have been successful against someone else.
And Hinam never once tried for peace, right?
No, they were just set on their goals.
It feels like they did the revolving door where they were going in like attacking you at Ubar, and then they forgot to get out of the revolving door, and they just went right back out, and all of a sudden everything was under siege. That turn was just, I think that is one of the prettiest turns in Dominions I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that turn as well. But the funny thing with Hinam is I even offered them an NAP very early on in the game, but they didn't take it.
But I mean, from what you were saying, that if you were Hinam, would you have taken it, or would you have gone to war with Ubar?
No, I would have gone to war because I think Hinam is probably the best counter to Ubar early game.
Yeah, it's just really well done. I'm really impressed. Now, let's go into. We went through something like, we burned through something like 10 turns in one episode, in the last episode. And the reason was that you were sitting here just quietly taking thrones. What do you think was, why do you think that the other nations weren't watching this and seeing this happen?
I definitely think some of the nations must have saw it because they had scouts on the throne, but they just didn't act fast enough. And I guess it's just a human problem to delay stuff.
At what point do you think, if you would have seen everything that was going on, at what point would you have tried to stop? You took one throne, you took 2 thrones, you took 3 thrones, you took the 4th throne, and then you finally took the 5th throne. At what point, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 5, what point would you have tried to start attacking the person?
After the theoretical Ubar had eaten Hinnom, I would have been very suspicious of them. And after they start pinging thrones, like all the thrones, then I would have been very suspicious and tried to form a coalition.
Did you think anybody else was trying for a throne victory whatsoever?
I don't think anybody was big enough and had all the thrones. Maybe Calum did, but I don't think they were.
Excellent. Do you think that there was a chance for you to lose this game?
I think there's always a chance to lose, but with all the actions all the players took, I don't think there was a chance of me losing.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really interesting. I just some of these things are common mistakes that I see in Dominion's players. The first one was the Arcocephali not practicing expand and not having a solid pretender. And we were talking about this. I'm going to ask you the question again. Which do you think is more important, that you use your own knowledge, or that you go to these question and answer forums and ask your question knowing that somebody might actually see your post?
I think you can do both, really, because, I think people do come up with good ideas, but this clearly isn't one of them. Maybe I'm overestimating people.
Well said. What do you think? What do you do when you don't know?
I just look at pretender creation. I think I know what works and what doesn't work at this point. I think with McCone, if I went on the question and answers forum and asked for a McCone build, none of them would have done the build that I did.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Your chicken was amazing.
Yeah, so I think there's room for creativity, but there's also a lot of room, especially if that you're new, to go to the question and answers forum.
When you were a new player, did you do that?
I don't think so. I think I just learned by playing.
I remember when I first started, I spent so much time on the question and answer forums that I was able to know the frequently asked questions, and I would just, anytime anybody asked one of those, I would just be on it, because I spent so much time on there that in asking just any type of question that I could ever get my hands on, because I feel like the understanding this game is how you win this game.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and it seems like you learned a lot from the question and answers forum, which is definitely viable.
Yeah, the people are out there. There's a lot of resources. It's wonderful. I mean, just the YouTube content alone, where you can watch and see some of the stuff, from people such as Lucid, Sakane, General Confusion, just to say a few, and you can watch those videos and you can get information from that. And I know those guys for a fact, if you have a question and you put it in their little comments underneath, they answer it almost immediately.
Yeah, the Dominions community is definitely very helpful, and there are plenty of places to learn. So I don't think you should be coming to tournament games with bad builds like Argus Vale.
Yeah, it's, I guess, to bring it back to this, I felt that Arco's build was a highly conservative one that wasn't intending to win the game, but rather to just survive through the game and say, look, I made it to the end.
Maybe, but even then, it doesn't have much of a chance of even surviving, because
well, that's the problem is that when you play these noob games, it does have a chance of surviving to the end. But when you play against experienced players, they have a solution to this. I mean, how many points did he put into that pretender?
A lot. I think the chassis itself is near 280.
So you're looking at 7 scales just in the chassis alone.
Yeah, and it's not even that good. Compared to my pretender, which did a lot of work super combating, it's not necessarily superior.
And that's one thing I see, is that the new meta is leaning towards the Titan. Now, you randomly picked this Titan. Do you have any regrets in this pick?
No, but I think my biggest regret was I didn't play enough or late enough to really use the Titan to its full potential.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Because the Titan is set up to cast Wailing Winds, it's set up to cast maybe globals like Well of Misery, it was set up to Sight Search more. It could have done a lot of things.
What I like is that you have it has an early game and a mid game purpose without, or I shouldn't say early, but like, early mid, and then, pushing out to late game. It still has purpose throughout that whole time. And I think that that's one thing that Titans give that either monsters or high price units don't really give.
I agree completely. I think Titans can be very powerful, especially in small to mid-sized games, but even in large games they can be viable. But I think the important thing is using them carefully, because if you lose them, it's a big setback.
What do you think? Do you think that this is the new meta? The new meta is going to be Titans?
I think right now the meta looks to me, everyone's doing imprisoned builds, like imprisoned stat bless, cavalry with resistances.
So it's still the rainbow resist blesses?
It looks like that to me at the moment, but maybe Titans will become more popular.
Now we've seen some shifts in the meta as games go on and as communities join and merge with each other, which is kind of an interesting thing. Are you thinking that we're at the end of the meta? Pretending there are no big patches that do anything else. Do you think that the meta will stay the same for the next year or two?
I think there'll always be like small changes, maybe big changes, because Dominions is so complex. There's no rock, paper, scissors. This beats that.
That is excellent. Yeah, I agree with you too, and I think that you have a point that there are things that can counter, say for instance, like a Titan chassis like this. My question for you is, what would counter Ubar? What would counter Ubar with this chassis?
Basically, Hinnom. Hinnom had the perfect kind of nation to counter me. Big beefy commanders which can't be seduced. Things that can kill my god. Everything.
Now, is there anything else that you would have done differently with this game?
No, I don't think I made any huge mistakes that I'd change, or my build wasn't that good. I think my build worked, and I made most of the right choices.
Now, without getting too much too detailistic, you're going to go into the next tournament game. Is that correct?
Yep.
Do you have? Are you really looking forward to bringing out a pocket pick? Are you looking for a comfort pick? What's your strategy? Are you going to take it like double plus serious at this point, or how's it going to change in this game?
I'm definitely going to try my best. As for strategy, I can't say until the nation and the age has been picked. But what I do think is it won't be anything like this game. It's going to be a lot harder.
Okay, why do you think that is?
Because obviously there's going to be way better players. For example, in this game, I basically picked on the weak players, Argus Vale and Hinnom, and I ate them, and that led to my victory. In the big game, it might not be so easy.
What's funny is you say that, and Mictlan also, I mean, they kind of struck me as their move was very naive. They took their first attack was through a one province corridor, and
yeah,
I mean, it felt like if you weren't at war with Hinnom, or let's say Mictlan attacks, you go to Hinnom and say, "Give me nap 3." He's like, "Sure," and then you turn on Mictlan. I mean, I see this turning out exactly the same, only that you have all of Mictlan's territory, and you have 3 provinces here that you could have taken over instead. So I don't see this changing at all if Hinnom goes to Peace, because like you said, it was a weaker, the player felt a little bit weaker than the other ones.
Yeah, I think maybe Hinnom might not have accepted Peace, because I think they seem to me very stubborn.
That's
But
true.
if it was just a one-on-one with Micklin, I think I would have won, even though Micklin is a better player than Hinnom.
Excellent. Okay, dude. Well, thank you so much for sending me these turns. Thank you for letting me kind of kibitz on it during the game and giving, making some of these guys. Wait, what? Vish?
Oh, these guys have still left.
Thanks, Vish.
Untouched.
This is why I came in and helped you out to get you some siege chaff that stayed there for 20 turns.
I think the problem was I picked up some of them and they needed to be used because something critical came up, but at least they survived and they can rejoice because Peanut Skin has ascended.
Excellent. Okay, Vish. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for the series.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping me win the game.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely let me know in the comments how you like this format. We went a lot faster than normal, and I hope to see you guys in the next game. I'm gonna be getting I'm gonna get Fish's next tournament game. Hopefully his save files as well. So hopefully I'll see you there, and I'll see you in another win, Coconut.
Yep, hopefully.
Bye.